Hey y'all, welcome back for another video. For those of you who've been following along for a little while, you might remember I made a video this time last year where I made 5 predictions for what I thought the real estate market was gonna do in 2022. So far this year, that has been my most watched video. So I figured what we do is now that 2022 is almost over, let's revisit those 5 predictions that I made and see how close I came. And although I wasn't bang on with my predictions, it's kind of freaky how close I was. But before we get into this, if you're somebody who likes to stay up to date on the real estate market and real estate market trends, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check off that notification bell so that you get notified anytime I upload new videos. Also, if you'd like, you can click on the link in the description below and book a 30-minute long phone call with me whenever works for you. Whether you're a buyer who wants to talk about the market or the seller who wants to talk about what's gonna happen in the future, or whether you just want to chat about real estate, you can always do so by clicking on the link in the description below. I would be more than happy to chat with you about any and all of your real estate needs. But without further ado, let's get into this. So prediction number 1, let's take a look.
My first prediction, there's not gonna be a crash. I hear people talking all the time about the crash is coming, the bubble's gonna burst. There's nothing that I can see that would indicate that that's going to happen. The reason I say that is inventory levels are at a historic low. As long as inventory remains low, it'll be very difficult to feel a pressure on price.
Okay, so no market crash. For all intents and purposes, there was no market crash this year. And just tying it back to what I had said about there being historically low inventory levels, there still is. Now, even though that inventory level is creeping up, it's creeping up very slowly. And because we have low inventory, like I said in the first video, it's really hard to feel a downward pressure on price. So yes, inventory is going up, price is going down slowly, but it definitely does not resemble a crash. Okay, let's take a look at number 2.
Is that we're going to see interest rates go up. Now we hear this talked about in the media all the time about how when interest rates go up in this market, it's going to be the dark ages and price is going to drop because people aren't going to be able to afford their mortgages. They're going to be forced to sell at a discount of what they bought it for earlier in the year, and everybody's going to be in trouble. I don't think that's going to happen. What it will do though, is it's going to decrease people's buying power, meaning that if you were pre-approved for 400K, you're probably only pre-approved for about 380K now, which means you can afford less.
Okay, number 2, interest rate increases, and there were a ton of them. Yeah, 7 to be exact. So I didn't anticipate there being 7 interest rate increases over the course of 2022, but there were. And we went from an overnight rate of 0.25% to 4.25% very quickly. Now, like I had said in the first video, people were anticipating that any interest rate increase or any significant interest rate increase would make the market crash, and it has not done that. It has decreased people's buying power, which has put a downward pressure on price a little bit. So I was kind of right about that one. Interest rates did increase, and they'd increased quite a bit. But I also said in there that I felt like the interest rate increases were not going to be enough in order to slow the average sale price from climbing. They have done that. Average sale price is not climbing right now. If anything, it's trending downwards. And that is a direct cause of the amount of interest rate increases we've seen this year. Let's take a look at number 3.
Okay. I think we're gonna see home prices in HRM in aggregate go up about 8%.
Okay, so prediction number 3, I said that I thought home prices were going to go up in aggregate, and what I mean by aggregate is a 12-month rolling period. I thought that they were going to go up roughly 8% this year. I also mentioned that Royal LePage had forecasted for home values in Halifax, Dartmouth to go up 10% roughly in 2023. Turns out that even with the slow second half of the year that we've seen, home prices are still up 15% year over year. So home prices did go up, the market didn't crash, but they still went up a lot more than I thought they were going to. Yeah, I had anticipated that the average sale price was going to be somewhere around $510,000, maybe a little bit less than that. But as we currently sit, it's somewhere around $533,000, $535,000, somewhere around there, depending on what type of data you look at. So I was right about price going up. I was just off by how much it was going to go up by. Let's take a look at prediction number 4.
Is that sales will be down drastically this year. And you'll hear it repeated throughout the media, sales are down, sales are down. And what they want you to think is that this means that the market is softening. It's not. You can't sell what's not in stock. Sales will be down, and the reason that they will be down is because we don't have the inventory to sell right now.
Prediction number 4, and it's actually funny when I look back at this, because this was one of the predictions that I kind of just threw in there when I made the video, admittedly, but it's actually the one that is the most true, and it's the one that's talked about or headlined in the media the most, and that is sales are down. They're down 31.5% to be exact, a massive amount. But tying it back in to how the market actually works, it's a supply and demand thing. I mentioned in the video that we went down all the way to about 250 listings, and because inventory was super low, that was one of the main reasons price was going up so quickly. Yeah. Well, we've recovered a bit. We're back up to 700 listings, so we have almost 3 times the inventory we had this time last year, but it's still extremely low. Going back to kind of what I talked about in that video, I talked about how, yes, interest rate increases did come, they did soften demand, but our supply levels are still super low. So even though there is less demand, we haven't really felt it in the market. So you may hear sales are down 31.5%, but price isn't down 31.5%. Okay, prediction number 5.
And my last prediction is that the rental market is going to continue to struggle. Going into 2021, Halifax sat at about a 1.9% vacancy rate for all apartments, meaning that of all of the total apartments available in Halifax, only 1.9% of them are available for rent. The remainder are occupied by people. We've seen that drop from from 1.9 to 1.7, although we don't have exactly accurate numbers right now at this point in the year, but there is going to be a report coming out from CMHC soon. If we are currently at 1.7, I'm expecting you're going to see at least another 0.3% drop down to 1.5% by the end of the year.
Little disclaimer before I get into this. This is all speculative. I don't have much data, nor have I reviewed the available data yet on rental numbers, but the rental market has struggled. When I made this video, I said that we were sitting at about 1.9% vacancy rate, and I thought that we would, by the end of the year, get to be about 1.5%. Well, in the spring, there was numbers released that indicated that we were actually close to 1%. And when those numbers get released next year, I'm assuming that our vacancy rate is going to be below 1%, which is absolutely insane for a major city in Canada. And again, I don't have the numbers, but some figures that I've seen so far are indicating that our rent has gone up close to 20% over the past 2 years since the 2% rent cap was enforced. And if you've ever tried to find a rental in Halifax over the course of the last 24 months, you know what I'm talking about. It is extremely difficult and extremely expensive. Okay, so those are my 5 predictions for the year of 2022. What do you think? Was I close? Were these good guesses? Were they obvious? What do you think? Also, make sure you check back in on Thursday because I'll be releasing my 5 market predictions for the year of 2023. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you on the next one.